all lining up on that front row. Look out for Jake Hill behind in the Plymouth Barracuda, and Alex Brundle as well. We have the flag and we are racing, and it's a poor start for our pole sitter Alex Brundle. Steve Soper roars to the lead. Can Frank Stippler round the outside and the Alfa Romeo do anything about it? Watch out for Jake Hill as well, who's trying to shuffle his way through in the Galaxy 500. Jake Hill has slotted into third, but the man who didn't think he stood a chance of racing it out of the top has taken the lead. Frank Stippler now leads coming out of Madrid.
Yeah, Alex Brundle's having a little look down the inside of Steve Soper as well in the number 76 Mini, but at the moment it's the 1.6-litre Alfa Romeo Giulia, which is up against the Plymouth Barracuda, 4.6-litre V8 underneath that number 1 car, driven by Jake Hill. But Alex Brundle, take a look, he's framing it around the outside of Jake Hill, and he's done it.
Nice move from Brundle versus the Plymouth Barracuda of Jake Hill. The Morris Mini getting the better of the Plymouth, but it's still the Alfa Romeo out in front. Now coming under pressure, though, from Alex Brundle. Can Brundle challenge for the lead here? Buncombe had a poor start from pole, has fallen back a few places, and this is your battle for the lead between Frank Stippler in the Alfa Romeo ahead of Alex Brundle, but Jake Hill is coming back at them and roars past Brundle, roars past the Alfa Romeo and into the lead for Jake Hill. Can he hold it though? Stippler's going to be late on the brakes, try it down the inside. Brundle's coming back at Hill as well. Can he fit a mini-size shape down the side of the Plymouth on the inside? Not on that occasion. Into the final chicane. Stippler holds on in that Alfa Romeo. Jake Hill, mighty in the Plymouth Barracuda, and Brundle proving that you can be nimble in that Morris Mini Cooper, and that's one of his advantages. Holds on to third as we end lap 1.
Yeah, it's very obvious the advantage from the big V8s over the Minis, though. There's the 214 Andrew Jordan in the Alfa Giulia, who's made his way up from 9th on the grid, so he's fighting in 4th spot. Jake getting sideways. Alex Brundle's gonna, let's see if he braves it again around the outside of the first part of St Mary's. A very impressive move. We've got a car off on the grass in the background who's just about managed to stay out of the barrier. That is one of the Alfa Romeos.
I think it might have been Emanuele Pirro further back.
Brundle, though, he isn't quite close enough to make that move on Jake Hill again. It must be quite frustrating for poor Alex Brundle in the nippy Mini there, but not quite strong enough in a straight line up against all these much more powerful engines, and he's under huge amount of pressure at the moment from Andrew Jordan. And there's a Ford Galaxy, and I'm guessing that will be Andy Prio that's storming up behind, but a bit of smoke coming out the back of that Ford.
Yeah, Brundle trying to keep 2 touring car champions behind him right now in his Morris Mini Cooper, currently just ahead of Andrew Jordan and Andy Prio as we ride on board further back in the pack. This will be Romain Dumas charging his way through the field. Indeed, from last he's already worked his way up to 19th and taking spots. Puts a wheel onto the grass though as he battles with the 99 of Gordon Shedden, another Galaxy 500, trying to go round the outside of one of the Jaguars further back in the pack. Epic battling. Can you fit a Galaxy 500 in between there? I don't think you can. Has to bail out of it, but 2 500s then trapped behind one of the Jaguars out on the circuit as they come up to the line once more.
Yeah, a Mini Cooper there pulling over to the side to allow the much more powerful V8s through. Alex Brundle is now under immense pressure from Andy Prio, and he just about manages to get in front of Alex Brundle into the first part of Fordwater. They now charge all the way up the hill into the first part of St Mary's. It's still quite smoky is the rear, and look at the roll on that Ford Galaxy. A lot of very different compared to the Mini of Brundle, but still out front is Frank Stippler in the Alfa Romeo, but he's about to come under a lot of pressure from Jake Hill. And look at Andrew Jordan, he's already, Harry, on the back of this battle for the top spot.
Stippler's got his indicators on as well, so I don't know if that's to try and put off Jake Hill behind, or indeed he's working so hard he's knocked the indicator inside that Alfa Romeo as he tries to hold on to the lead from Jake Hill in his Plymouth Barracuda. Battles though happening all throughout the pack as the 99 tries to carve its way through the field of Gordon Shedden in one of the other Galaxy 500s further back. This is the battle for the lead. Jake Hill in the Plymouth Barracuda, close closing in through the chicane, and they're bringing along Andrew Jordan for the ride as well in third in the Alfa Romeo behind. Just over a second then comes the top three.
Yeah, so we're up. We've got an Alfa Romeo versus two American V8s. The Plymouth Barracuda weighs about 1,400 kilos, and the Alfa Romeo is half the weight of that at 700. So Jake Hill.
Shake for Jake Hill. He just about saves it. The tail on that Plymouth Barracuda absolutely stepping out on him. He is wringing the neck of that car, trying desperately to catch up to our leader, Frank Stippler, in his Alfa Romeo. Meanwhile, Rob Huff, who nearly didn't start this race, has just made his way past Alex Brundle. That's the Ford Lotus Cortina getting ahead of Brundle's Morris Mini. So a brilliant start for Brundle, but the might of the bigger cars making their way through now on his Morris Mini Cooper.
Yeah, and a dive down the inside from our pole sitter. He gets sideways. Did he keep it on? Keep it on track? Just about does. The number 20 slides back through and is able, the Lotus Ford Cortina of Fassler is able to slide back through, and you can actually see from this shot as well. Yes, Alex Bunker made a mistake, but the Mini's certainly struggling in these drier conditions. I'm seeing him, trying to see if the rain has eased. The wiper's still going, but we did say earlier that the Minis were going to struggle, and that looks like Andrew Jordan. Either he's made a mistake somewhere along the lap, or he's not been able to keep up the pace with the front two, and he's been overtaken by Andy Priaulx. So we've got still a battle for the lead, and more people are now starting to join, Harry.
Yeah, Andy Priaulx is getting through with that 7-litre V8 Ford Galaxy 500. Priaulx now up into third ahead of Andrew Jordan's Alfa Romeo Giulia Sprint. Started down in ninth though, up to fourth for the moment. Then comes Rob Huff in the Cortina Mark 1, but out in front, just eking out his lead slightly now, is that Alfa of Frank Stippler ahead of Jake Hill in the Plymouth Barracuda. Then Andy Priaulx in the Ford Galaxy, and then Andrew Jordan.
I love this onboard shot. Romain Dumas, you can see a bit of heel and toe as he hits the brakes going into the first part of St Mary's, then into the next part, and really his foot was to the floor all the way between Forwater up to St Mary's, chasing down, and made a really great start. But further up the field, starting to spread out a little bit. They've still got this battle. Alex Brundle unfortunately falling slightly further down the order after that absolutely electric start. He's now going to maybe come under a little bit of pressure from Alex Buncombe, and then Abby Eaton has just made her way into the top 10 as well.
Marcel Fassler keeping Alex Brundle at bay for the moment. Here we go then. How's this for a trio, a quartet of cars making their way through, almost knocking the camera over. We ride on board with Romain Dumas in the Galaxy 500 down the inside through the chicane, heel and toe, really wringing the neck of that wheel, trying desperately to find his way through. He's clawed his way up from the back of the pack all the way up to 11th place now.
And you can see the aggressive gear upshifts as well, the gear changes. It's really trying to ram that gear stick in as he goes through Madwick Corner. He is making some moves, and I'm just having a look at the lap times as well. He's pretty much doing the fastest lap pace. Fastest lap stands with Priaulx at the moment, but he is all over the back of Johnson now. We've got to move further up. The two Cortinas are having a little battle. This is for 5th position. Rob Huff, Tom Ingram continuing to battle, and actually Stippler's now in the Alfa Romeo, stretched his legs a little bit, got a bit of a gap. These two drivers you can see on screen, Huff and Ingram, battle currently in the British Touring Car Championship, and they're keeping their battles going here at Goodwood today.
Yeah, Rob Huff, of course, the 2012 World Touring Car Champion. And Tom Ingram, the 2022 British Touring Car Champion, back on board though with Romain Dumas briefly further back, still trying to find a way through. I think his next target will be Jimmie Johnson. Here though, Jake Hill now coming under pressure from Andy Priaulx. There's Stippler just coming through as the first car in the Alfa Romeo. Then comes Jake Hill in the Plymouth Barracuda. Then it's Andy Priaulx in the Ford Galaxy 500, hunting Hill down. He can see his prey as they head towards Madrid. The wipers still going. Prio just crossing the line, setting the fastest lap as well. He is hunting downhill at a rate of knots as Romain Dumas slides down the inside. We ride on board with him. I think he's getting the inside of Jimmie Johnson, perhaps, who is in another Galaxy, or is it Gordon Shedden? One of them. They're all quite tucked in behind. It is Gordon Shedden who is now behind him. Romain Dumas up into 11th. Jimmie Johnson a couple very close up the road from him as well. The 7-time NASCAR Cup champion started down in 21st, but with the power and the might of that Galaxy has worked his way up. A trio of Galaxies there fighting it out for position.
Yeah, and setting a purple sector in clear air as well. So Romain Dumas is on a real charge. The Cortina battle continues slightly further up the order. This is all for 5th place. Fazla in another Cortina is coming to join the party as well. So we look for this battle. So Jake Hill, never driven this car before until this weekend. Same with Andy Prio in the Ford Galaxy behind. And you can see they streak up to the lesser powered Alfa Romeo of Stippler. But he's doing a great job out front. That indicator still flashing as he's been a fluster at some point on the wheel. But with 13 minutes remaining, just over 13 minutes remaining, I expect this order at the front to change at some point.
Well, right now it's Hill who's challenging for the lead again, having had to be looking in his mirrors the last couple of laps at Andy Prio behind. Now Hill in that Plymouth Barracuda. Looks like he is on the advance to try and take away the lead of this race from that Alfa Romeo of Frank Stippler, which currently leads. Bit of smoke coming off the back of one of the Galaxy 500s. A lot of smoke coming out the back. That is Andy Prio, though, who's falling down, losing positions, having to pull off the road. Problems then for Andy Prio and his Ford Galaxy 500.
Yeah, I did say a few laps earlier, and it did look like it was starting to smoke quite a bit. He's done the correct job to pull off the road. If that's dropping some kind of fluid, that will make the track very slippy. Romain Dumas has just set the fastest lap of the race, so he is on a real charge. And there we go. There is the moment that Prio's Ford Galaxy gave up, and he was able to pull it off. So that promotes Andrew Jordan up into the final podium spot, and well done, Andy, for pulling that off into a safe position.
Yeah, such a shame, though, to lose him from this race. Back on board, a thumbs up as well from Alex Buncombe, who is currently in 8th and is keeping Alex Brundle behind. The battle of the two minis. Buncombe not able to hold on to that pole. The might of the mini in qualifying not quite carrying through into the dry conditions that we're experiencing in this race. Lovely battle, though, here in the mix with the Cortinas. We've got Marcel Fassler at the back, chasing down Tom Ingram in the middle. Looks like Ingram's about to be overtaken by Marcel Fassler. Can Fassler get a nose down the inside later on the brakes? Nice move from Marcel Fassler in the Cortina Mark 1, a 3-time Le Mans winner, making the move on Tom Ingram's Cortina. And he will now set his sights on, I think it's Rob Huff ahead.
Brundle's got back past Buncombe, so that he's back into being the lead mini. Dumas is 3.7 seconds behind this battle. You can see him just about in the background there. I love watching these Cortinas slide through that first part of St Mary's. And looking at the first sector time, he's 0.6 of a second quicker alone in the first sector between these trio of Cortinas. So it won't be too long, Harry, before he's joining this battle for 5th place.
Yeah, Romain Dumas is really clawing them in as he makes his way up from the back of the grid for a last-minute entry. He's having a rather good St Mary's Trophy Part 1. Also having a rather good St Mary's Trophy Part 1 is Frank Stippler, who still has about 0.4 of a second as an advantage in the lead from Jake Hill's Plymouth Barracuda. Then comes Andrew Jordan in 3rd. And this battle is really heating up. First, Buncombe gets displaced. Then Brundle is up next as the Ford Galaxy is trying to make its way through. That is Gordon Shedden, but then in the corners, Buncombe could just get back through. Brundle holding on to 8th, Buncombe 9th, Gordon Shedden 10th, as the battle for the lead gets even tighter. Jake Hill through Madrid, closing right up in his Plymouth Barracuda to the back of the Alfa Romeo.
4 tenths is the gap across the line. 10 minutes left to go of this race. hotting up at the front. They, of course, would have worked out their strengths and weaknesses compared to each other, so they're wise, experienced drivers, and they will know where they need to maybe pull over to defend. Jake will know where he has his strength. Certainly his strength is down the straights, but still plenty of time for it all to change. Dumas with another fastest lap of the race. He's closed the gap up to Tom Ingram in front in 6th now, down to 1.6 seconds. So I know his gap is 9 seconds from the lead. Maybe don't write him off, possibly Dumas for a podium.
Marcel Fassler is closing in on Rob Huff ahead of him as well. So this really is a fine battle that could
Dumas is on the back
towards the end. And yeah, Romain Dumas is now charging through. One Cortina displaced. Rob Huff gets removed down the inside as Romain Dumas makes it look easy in his Ford Galaxy 500. He leaves the Cortinas for dust.
Rob Huff and Tom Ingram would have been jumping in their seats like karting style to try and edge those Cortinas forward down the straight, but they were going to have no luck to stand up to the V8 of the Ford Galaxy. So Dumas now will have jumped up into 6th place. He'll be hunting down Fassler now as the rain continues to fall. His gap across the line 1 second, and actually that's going to definitely have come down by the time they enter into turn 1.
Yeah, Fassler in the Cortina Mark 1 will be next up for Romain Dumas. On board with Alex Bunkum in the Mini. We see Alex Brundle round the outside, and does he lose the rear? And he's off. Brundle off the track as they both try and battle with the Galaxy 500 ahead. That is the 99 of Gordon Shedden, and unfortunately for Brundle, that has forced him off the track, and then through sweeps Jimmie Johnson to rub salt into the wound.
Yeah, he manages to get it stopped just in time for the chicane, so that's dropped Brundle out of the top 10 now. Jake Hill, that gap has stretched ever so slightly than it was the previous lap, but half a second is the gap when they went across the line last time round. So we'll keep an eye. Andrew Jordan still occupying 3rd place in the Alfa Romeo. He's got a gap between these now, 4.8 seconds. So, but look, Jake Hill stretching the V8 all the way down the straight. They head into Woodcote Corner, very tricky corner. You can see the strength and weaknesses. You can see the strength of the Plymouth is down the straight. The strength of the Alfa Romeo Giulia is a bit more nimble, a bit more lighter through those corners. Romain Dumas, though, he's up to 4th place, so his next hunt will be and now Alex Bunkum getting sideways, and he manages to save it just about in the little Mini. That's on the exit of Woodcote. He was involved with the battle between Gordon Shedden, so I wonder if there's something that's gone on there. That's where Alex Brundle went off on the previous lap, so let's have a little look, Harry. Just locked up and avoiding the rear of Jimmie Johnson, so just manages, well done. Alex Bunkum, take a bow, just saving the poor little Mini from going into the tyre barrier. So you can see, look, the closing speed on the brakes between the much lighter, more nimble Mini compared to the much heavier Ford Galaxy. But going back to Romain Dumas, another fastest lap. Don't write him off, potentially to fight with the battle between Stickler and Hill.
Traffic in the form of Nicolas Manassian and the Jaguar Mark II, just separating the leaders of Frank Stifler and Jake Hill for the time being. But you're absolutely right. Romain Dumas is coming up through the ranks, started plumb last, and having just overtaken Marcel Fassler, is now charging ahead and getting himself up into the podium places shortly. His next one will be Andrew Jordan to try and tap into his Alfa Romeo. He is closing and closing. The gap at the moment, at last check, just over 1.5 seconds, but this is on board with Romain Dumas, and you can see Andrew Jordan coming through the chicane in front in his Alfa Romeo. But as we highlighted, those Alfa Romeos are pretty nifty in the corners.
Yeah, the Alfa has pulled away, but then look, once he gets the throttle down, it looks like that's a spinner. Is that Gordon Shedden potentially in one of our other Ford Galaxies? I think it is. So at Woodcote Corner, if you're at Woodcote Corner today, you're getting all the great action, and yeah, maybe just a little bit too late on the brakes. A nice 360, points in the right direction. Jimmie Johnson says thank you very much, sails on through, managing to avoid the spinning 99, but he's on the back now. I wouldn't be surprised if we're going to see him move at some some point in the next couple of corners, moving up into, he's going to try and move up Dumas up into third place, but there's some back markers that are in to get in the mix. We've got a Mini in front, but luckily
it's not anybody, it's Christian Horner in that Mini who just gets out of the way nicely to let this battle commence. So Horner, not used to being given the blue flags, but on this occasion does so and gets out of the way nicely for the team principal of the Red Bull Formula 1 team.
He's clear and free right now. We're on the long straight, and there we go. As before, Dumas foot to the floor and sails past yet another car up into the podium spot. So last time round, he was 5.9 seconds behind the battle for the lead. So here we go, plain and simple on board, changing up the gears, doesn't even have a look to the right-hand side of Andrew Jordan. He sails on through. His eyes are forward, fixated on catching the leaders. We're going to have a look now as he comes across the line to see what that gap is. He's with insight. He can see the leaders at 6.6 seconds, so he lost a little bit of time making that move on Andrew Jordan. But with 4 minutes left to go, is it possible? Because his fastest lap is a good 8/10 quicker than what those in front of him have set.
Jake Hill is going to look in his mirror in a few seconds' time and see that Galaxy 500 of Romain Dumas looming and think, hang on, didn't you start right at the back? And weren't you a last-minute addition? Well, I know you've got the power, but you're already here with 4 minutes less than that on the clock. Could we have this three-way battle for the win of this race go right to the bitter end? At the moment, it is the Alfa that leads in the hands of Frank Stippler, having started third with a good start. He's kept Jake Hill at bay for the majority of this race superbly. Hill at the wheel of the Plymouth Barracuda, and now up into third, bit of clear air. He's got 6 seconds to catch up to Jake Hill, has Romain Dumas. Yeah,
let's take a listen in, right on board down the Lavant Straight. Let's listen to the V8 scream. Lovely stuff, and he is set. His first sector alone, Harry, was 3/10 quicker than those in front. His middle sector 7/10 quicker than those in front of him. They're just going through the chicane now. He's about to come in. This gap has closed right down as they're coming through. 3 minutes remaining. Jake Hill is still trying to desperately get past. No, is he actually? He's dropped back, so maybe he's got caught up in a little bit of traffic. Another fastest lap for Romain Dumas, a 1:31.0. Those in front of him are only in the 1:32s.
Traffic from Jochen Mass getting out of the way in the Alfa Romeo, just actually still sat in between. Well, that 36 of Jochen Mass still in the way. Actually, here we go. This is the number 3 Mini of Tony Jardine, just catching him through the chicane, and that has lost Jake Hill so much time coming down the main straight, and he is falling into the clutches of Romain Dumas. That's given our leader Frank Stippler a little bit of a reprieve, but Romain Dumas now has to try and displace Tony Jardine. The traffic not being kind to Romain Dumas, who's closing in on Jardine's Austin Mini Cooper S. Further back, Jardine's all the way down in 24th at the moment. So this is all playing into the hands of Frank Stippler in the Alfa Romeo, who's managed to now extend his gap to over a second.
Yeah, he easily sails past Jochen Mass, who's in a battle with Tony Jardine. So he's through now. Purple in the first sector, that's fastest out of anybody on track. So Romain Dumas, remember, started at the back of the field. A late entry, let's have a little look. Alex Buncombe, what's he getting up to again? He had that spin at Woodcourt. Oh, bit of avoiding action. Christian Horner, I think there was some contact there and a bit of a wave from Alex Buncombe as he's trying to filter his way through the lapped cars, but luckily for them,
he wasn't happy about that, Alex Buncombe, was he? Bit of a hand gesture from inside the cockpit. Oh, we love it, really. Horner, yeah, down in 24th at the moment. Right, less than a minute left on the clock. Frank Stippler leads this race in the Alfa Romeo now by over 2 seconds. Jake Hill in the Plymouth Barracuda is second. That car going through your screen now with the number 1 emblazoned on the side. Romain Dumas is not catching quickly enough, though, to the back of Jake Hill to try and mount a challenge, as off goes one of the other Alfa Romeos further back in the pack. That is Jean-Eric Vergne. who just about avoids the BMW coming through the chicane.
Yeah, so it was maybe not enough in the first sector for Romain Dumas to close this gap down even more. He's still quicker than Jake Hill, but he had a little bit of traffic. Wow, there we go. He's had an impressive middle sector, about to come out of the middle sector. He's going to be all on the back of Jake Hill as they come down into Woodgood corner. Wipers going frantically on the number 92, and he's right on the back of him, Harry.
This will be the final lap as the clock times down. Can he find a way through? Romain Dumas down late on the inside through the chicane. No, he's too far back, and while they do battle for second, nothing could stop Frank Stippler and the Alfa Romeo from third on the grid to take the lead into the line. Jake Hill in the Plymouth Barracuda just seals second place from a heroic drive from Romain Dumas. A last-minute entry lined up at the back of the field, but the power, the grunt of that Ford Galaxy 500 powering him up through the ranks, almost getting second, will have to settle for third.
8 thousandths of a second was the gap between Romain Dumas and Jake Hill. There we go, just tucking in the slipstream and pulling out. Not enough laps left on the board, and the crowd giving a big cheer and wave to these drivers. Frank Stippler, a fantastic job coming under a lot of pressure, but still the battles continue. Vergne all over the back, further down the order of Josh Cook in the BMW. We'll wait and see if he's able to file on down the inside of the chicane as the rest of the cars now filter across the line. No, has to settle for 18th place.